Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring, and the final instalment in my series on Warhammer 40k No Fear. This is the point in proceedings where, having unboxed the game, shown the miniatures off, and gone through a couple of playthroughs, I discuss what I think about the game now, prior to writing a full review for my blog. What do I think of it? First of all, as a little reminder, I paid just over £40 for my set. I believe the recommended retail price for this set is £50, which is good value in itself. But with that online discount, it's a really good deal. And I'm very happy to own this game. If for no other reason, then I now own... I'm going to put this to one side because I'm going to bring these guys back in. I know I've shown these off in a previous video, but I'm just so in love with this miniature. This is the Lord of Contagion, the leader of the Plague Marines, and just one of my all-time favourite Games Workshop figures at this point. I just think he's absolutely brilliant. And his axe, I don't know if you can see that, but he has little spinning blades in his axe, which that's where someone's neck goes. Yeah, it's a very unpleasant looking weapon, and well, for a very unpleasant looking guy. It's like Rhino from Spider-Man on a bad day, and he's fantastic, and I'm absolutely loving him. He's brilliant, and also it comes with a unit of Plague Marines, and they're brilliant. They've got so much character, and they're so well sculpted. And this guy, I can't get enough of this guy. This guy is brilliant. It's just such a good model. But this isn't where I'm not supposed to be going on about the models. I'm not supposed to be going on about the models. I've done that already in another review. But stay there, guys. Stay in shot. Hang out. Okay. We've already talked about First Strike and how it's a really good starter set, but it is very limited. Once you've played through the learning scenarios, I think you're very quickly going to want to expand your games by getting more miniatures, or I think getting No Fear, because No Fear steps up the game in every possible way. For a start, you get more miniatures. You get a vehicle. You get leaders. You get a bigger play area. You get a longer range ruler. You get a bigger piece of terrain. And you just get a lot more depth to the game, because by introducing vehicles with multiple wounds, a vehicle that actually degrades as it takes wounds, it becomes less combat effective, and it flies. You get flyers, a unit of Inceptors that can sort of jump into the game from off the board. And it just gives you a lot of extra options. If you combine that with First Strike, you've got a really good little skirmish level game, and you could probably play with that and No Fear for quite some time. I don't think you're going to get fed up too quickly. And then when you do decide you want some more, you can pick up some individual boxes of extra models, or maybe even purchase the Dark Imperium full box set, which gives you all of this stuff again, plus even more Poxwalkers and even more Intercessors, and some extra characters, like including a Psyker. Because the one thing No Fear doesn't do is introduce psychic powers. It's the one final step to completing all aspects of the game. But what it does give you is pretty much everything else, including this really nifty book, which is quite chunky. And this is where it's at. Besides the miniatures, everything else in the box is okay, but it's the miniatures and this book. This book is fantastic, and this book does assume that you didn't buy First Strike first. It very much assumes that this is your entry point to the system. So it does all of the sort of introduction stuff that First Strike does. It talks about building and painting, and it talks about it's got those guys, there they are, and it talks about the different formats of play, and it includes all the core rules. We'll get to that in a minute, and it includes some background information, and it talks about the different types of models. And we've had a little look through this already if you've been following my series, but trying to get to the stuff where it starts to layer up what First Strike has already done. Here we go, and this is where it starts. Painting your miniatures. First Strike had some painting guides in it, but they weren't very detailed. And this set kind of goes into more detail. It talks about every level of painting, from basing and shading, dry brushing, layering. So it goes into it in a lot more detail, and it's really got. What is interesting is it actually shows you 2 different ways to paint Space Marines, which is pretty neat, really. You've got this level, which involves layering, which is pretty neat. It shows you how to paint the eyes, and then it's got. Okay, this is the rest of the layering for adding the edge highlights and everything else, so you can end up with a model that probably won't look that nice, but you might, you might be a fantastic painter, but in which case you're probably not looking at this painting guide anyway. But then it also has the dry brushing option, and this is pretty neat. It shows you a completely alternative method for painting Space Marines, and to be honest, a slightly easier method, and you still get a nice looking model. It's probably not as nice as this chap. It's not as clearly defined, but it's still very nice. And it even shows you how to paint the glowy effect on the plasma guns, and it's full of tips. And it's got a whole section on just painting the captain, because obviously you want your leaders to stand out a little bit more than your base troops, so you just want to spend a little bit more time on painting them to look really, really nice, and that's what they tell you to do. And there's a lot of information on painting and things like that, which is really good. And it's just a really cool thing down here. It's really nice. They kind of grayscale the picture, and then they highlight the different sections in blue and label them. It's quite neat. And there's lots of information on just painting all the horrible pestilence and rotten skin and other horribleness of the Plague Marines. And so you can see I'm flicking through quite a lot of pages here, and that's a lot of pages before you get to the start playing section. Okay, now this is the 6 missions. First Strike had 4, and the first 2 here in Know No Fear are basically the first two here are the same as the first 2 from First Strike. If you've watched the playthroughs from both of my series, then you'll know that already. I am going to very quickly look at each of these missions. If you don't want to see them, if you're worried about spoilers and stuff, stop watching. I guess. No, don't stop watching. Stop watching. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Okay. So the first contact mission is 4 intercessors against the unit of Poxwalkers. Poxwalkers have to escape off the board. Intercessors try and shoot them. It's literally Poxwalkers running and Space Marines shooting. That introduces you to the concept of shooting. If you've already done First Strike, you can skip that mission. And then mission 2 is against the Horde, which pits 1 captain against the 10 Poxwalkers and introduces the concept of hand-to-hand combat. And again, if you've done First Strike, you can skip that mission. The third mission introduces, it's called Reconnaissance, and it introduces the Inceptors that can fly. So this is the first one that introduces something new, brings something new to the table, and that is the fact that the Inceptors can fly, and it's pretty much Inceptors have to escape off the edge of the table, and there's very little chance of them failing if you are using all of the advanced rules. And this is one of the things that I've noticed about the about the missions in this game is that if you play the basic rules as it's laid out, without introducing any of the advanced concepts or any of the other things that you think you already know, the missions are quite well balanced. But I think once you start introducing these advanced rules, it becomes a bit more unbalanced. That was my sense anyway, is that once you start thinking about it's like mission 1, for example. To begin with, it doesn't introduce the concept of the rapid fire rule is in the advanced rules. Rapid fire basically means that the Marines can shoot twice. Their guns fire twice if they're over half range, if they're under half range, sorry. And that makes it dramatically easier to kill the poxwalkers. So if you're playing with that advanced rule, it very much swings the game one way or the other. That's sorry about. I really need to do something about my lighting on these videos, because on every video I seem to apologise for the horrible glare that's coming up. Now I still go and do it again. Sorry everybody. Okay, so there's reconnaissance. Mission 4 introduces the bloat drone, which is a vehicle, and that's really cool. And it also, the Hellblasters are there to take it down, because Hellblasters do epic devastation, so they're really good for taking down vehicles. And the vehicle, it has a battle damage rule, which as it takes damage, it gets less. Its combat effectiveness decreases, which is good. And then Mission 5 introduces the heroes and the concept of teleporting in. The Lord of Contagion will teleport onto the board at some point, and you're going to end up with a ruckus between the captain and the champion. And then finally there's a final confrontation where it all just kicks off and you use everything. And then after that we go into the core rules and everything else. It's really comprehensive, and I think it's fantastic. Do I recommend one over the other? Do I recommend No Fear over First Strike? Well, it's more expensive, but it's better in every way, and it's more of everything. First Strike is still really good if you've never been into the hobby before, because it is push fit models that don't require glue, and that is a good way to get to know the game. But No Fear, for me, is a fantastic product, and I'm still thinking of buying Dark Imperium to get all this stuff again and the hardback rulebook, and so these sets are doing what they're intended to do. I'm hooked, and I want to play more. For now, that's all I've got to say. Thanks for watching, and I hope this series has been more entertaining than the previous one. I'm hoping I'm getting better at this. Leave me a comment. Say nice things, please. Bye for now.